Tonight, a story you won't soon forget.
I'm just so mad at myself that something could have been done earlier.
The discovery.
Pick out that dream, okay? Vacation spot.
The loss.
Oh.
The fight.
It's gross. It's unbelievable.
And the courage. Tonight, Wendy's story, the face of breast cancer. Now, here's Eyewitness News health reporter Shelley Carey.
Tonight, I am going to share a story with you that will change your life, as it has changed mine. It's the story of Wendy Curtis. A beautiful young photographer here at Channel 12, who just 3 months ago found out she has breast cancer. Since then, she has stepped out from behind the camera and let us into her life as she confronts the most frightening battle any woman could ever face. I have been with Wendy every step of the way through her painful discovery, surgery, and treatment. Right after Wendy was diagnosed, I sat and talked with her about why she waited so long to find out.
What was it that you were afraid of?
Well, that was one of the reasons why I didn't go, because I was afraid I'd be sitting here telling this story.
It's August 16th, and I'm sitting on Wendy's deck. Tomorrow, she'll have surgery to remove her right breast. It all seems like it happened overnight, but Wendy knew something was wrong for a year.
My whole life changed. And I never thought it would happen to me.
You have no history of...
Nope, there's no history of anything in the family.
What made you finally say, something is definitely wrong?
Well, you have to know that something's wrong when you're seeing something sticking out of the top of your bathing suit, for starters.
She went to the doctor in March for her annual exam. Her doctor told her to get a mammogram. It wasn't until July when she had that mammogram done.
Went to work on Tuesday, and then I had another appointment on Wednesday, and they told me I had cancer. I just, you know what, Shelley, I just can't believe it's me. Like I said, I was just doing my own thing. Going out fishing and doing normal things that everybody does. And I'm still just having trouble realizing that it's me.
But it really is Wendy. And because she waited so long, she now has no choice. She must have her breast removed. The first step to surgery is pre-registration.
Have you ever been here before?
Nope, not in this capacity.
It was an emotional trip to the hospital as Wendy filled out all the forms and came to terms with what she is about to face.
What if I had done this? Or what if I hadn't done this now? And yeah, it could be a different story. They could just be taking a little piece, you know, taking out a lump and calling it a day.
What Wendy will be facing is a radical mastectomy. That night, Wendy went home and packed to go back to the hospital the very next day to be prepped for surgery to remove her right breast.
It's the morning of surgery, and Wendy checks into Women and Infants.
Hi, Wendy. My name's Barbara. I'm going to get you ready for your surgery today. Yep.
It's only been a week since Wendy found out she needed to have a radical mastectomy. Today, surgeons will remove her right breast and lymph nodes.
And again, it's your right side being
Right
down.
side.
An anesthesiologist then starts Wendy's IV. It's common to feel nauseous, so the nurse gives Wendy some oxygen.
You okay? Mm-hmm. That's pretty common. It happens.
A second IV for anesthesia is given to Wendy that will eventually put her to sleep.
Okay, I'm going to slap your hand on. Pinch. Done. You okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Then nurses come in to talk to Wendy before taking her to the OR.
As soon as we get you monitored, Dr. Gilmore can give you more medication, and you can relax, and then you'll go off to sleep. Okay, turn towards me, and you have a seat right about there.
Hi, Wendy.
Wendy is wheeled to the operating room.
Far enough. Work your way a little more to the left.
Now Wendy can start to fall asleep.
Pick out that dream, okay? Vacation spot. As you get tired, just close your eyes.
Surgery is about to begin. When we come back, Shelley Carey takes you inside the operating room as Wendy's surgeon reveals her concerns.
One of the concerns is how much skin that we have to sacrifice over the tumor, because the tumor is quite anteriorly located.
We will continue with Wendy's story in just a moment.
Wendy, I always knew you had the fortitude to do this, but you know, it's a tough, tough personal thing to do. We have been visited twice in our family by this terrible affliction, and both my wife and my daughter say they have no idea how you could come forth and share this story as you go along your way. The only thing I can say is that they are so impressed by what you're doing for everybody else, and I am just so honored to know you. To tell Wendy's story, the only way to beat cancer is by arming yourself with information. Write down this number on your screen, 1-800-ACS-2345. The American Cancer Society can answer your questions and put you in touch with the experts. Wendy's story has touched us all. It also taught us the only way to beat cancer is to catch it early. Thanks, Wendy.
Wendy's story now continues. Here's Eyewitness News health reporter Shelley Carey.
Wendy is prepped and doctors are ready to operate. You will be inside the operating room as the radical mastectomy is performed. This is surgery, so it is graphic. We are showing it because it's an important part of understanding Wendy's story.
At this point, both of the big muscle, pectoralis major and minor, will be preserved for her. It's just to remove the entire breast plus the lymph nodes in the armpit area. And I take scissors.
Dr. Helena Chang is Wendy's doctor and will perform the surgery. If all goes well, it's expected to take a couple of hours. I was able to talk to Dr. Chang right before she started the operation.
One of the concerns is how much skin that we have to sacrifice over the tumor, because the tumor is quite anteriorly located.
Dr. Chang begins marking the incision and measuring the cyst. This allows her to cut only where it's necessary and preserve excess skin.
This is our pectoralis major muscle. In between here is the axillary content, and also go immediately behind the muscle. One of the concerns, can we close the wound? I think we can close it easily.
Wendy's chest and arm are cleaned with betadine. Her arm is wrapped, so only the parts being operated on are exposed. Doctors are then ready to start the incision. A cauterizer is used to cut away the fatty tissue. The goal is to cut away from the muscle and get all of the breast tissue.
We use the moist sponge to protect our tissue so it won't be dried out.
Once doctors have removed all of the breast tissue, they start removing the lymph nodes.
So far it's going good. There's nothing surprised, everything looks good.
The first part of surgery is finished and Wendy is doing well. As you just heard, doctors are pleased. During surgery, Dr. Chang sent the breast to the pathology lab for a report. Meanwhile, Wendy is wheeled into recovery for a few hours before being taken back to her room. The following day, we talked about how she was coping.
I was afraid to move. I was afraid that I was going to roll over, and I was just afraid to do anything. I was afraid to even just go to sleep because I just want to make sure that I could, wake up again.
Wendy decided to stay in the hospital a few more days until she feels stronger. Wendy spends the week recovering. She is still bandaged, so she has not seen her breast. That's about to change. Doctors are now ready to remove the stitches. It will be a difficult moment for Wendy because she is about to see the harsh reality of what has been done to her body.
Wendy?
It's been exactly 1 week since Wendy's surgery.
Right into room 1.
Today, she gets her stitches out, along with the drain which holds excess fluid.
Were you too uncomfortable at home with this, or?
Well, it was different. Just tried to go easy, and mine's going 100, and body's going 5.
We'll get your stitches out, I'll remove the drains, put a new dressing on for her, and then you and I will sit down and we'll discuss the report. Now, there are 2 stitches here. What I'm going to do is cut the ends of them and then just pull it right out. There you go. That's not so bad so far, is it, huh?
No.
Now the most painful part, the drain is removed.
There. So all there is. You did all right. I'm going to put a few more steri-strips on there for you and a little dressing over the drain site, because there's a little hole there where the drain was, and there'll be a little fluid that'll come out for 24 hours or so, that's all. But you can shower and do whatever you want.
Dr. Marshawn examines Wendy to make sure everything is in check.
This is just swelling in here. There's not fluid in here. No, it'll feel kind of numb.
Wendy's numbness is from nerves severed during surgery. It'll take a while before they grow back.
You and I will go chatting across the hall, but you did very well.
Okay.
Wendy now waits for the physical therapist to come into the room. Her face says it all. This is the first time she is seeing her breast since surgery. It was too much to bear.
Hi, Wendy. Hi. How are you? We're going to review the exercises that I did with you in the hospital, and then we have new ones that I need to teach you. Straight up.
Wendy starts her exercises and explains to her therapist what she's been able to do since her surgery.
I can brush my teeth by myself.
Okay.
Big doings there.
Dressing?
Dressing I can pretty much do as long as it's nothing over the head, anything like that, button downs. Brushing my hair, I'm still having difficulty with.
Some exercises are easier than others, and I could see some of Wendy's frustration.
But I just feel like there's just, everything is so bloated and fat and numb over here that I just can't tell if it's just coming. I can feel on that side, but I just can't feel over on this side.
Okay.
Now the moment she's been waiting for since being diagnosed. Wendy goes into Dr. Marshawn's office to talk about the results of her lab report. After this meeting, she will know if she definitely needs to have chemotherapy.
Another difficult chapter in Wendy's story is about to begin as she faces the terrible side effects. Wendy's story will continue in just a moment.
Wendy, I want you to know that sharing your incredibly personal story has touched the hearts and lives of so many people throughout the area. I've had phone calls and letters and people stopping me in the street and saying, please pass on these words of comfort to Wendy. And because you stepped forward, many other women will now have the courage to confront cancer. So Channel 12 joined forces with 5 local hospitals to provide free mammograms. Hundreds of women took the life-saving test at hospitals like Charlton Memorial in Fall River. One woman there tested positive and is now getting the help she needs. If you have questions about cancer, call the American Cancer Society at 1-800-ACS-2345. Early detection is the key to beating breast cancer. Wendy has taught us that. We never want you to live Wendy's story.
Wendy's story continues. Here's Shelley Carey.
The results of Wendy's pathology report showed cancer in 3 of her lymph nodes. She has no choice but to have chemotherapy. Once again, I went with Wendy as she talked with her oncologist about her treatment and with me about her fears.
My concerns are, and I feel, half of me feels somewhat vain even thinking about losing my hair. That's a very real possibility. The nausea, dizziness, sterility. That's something that is pretty big. That could, that's, again, could happen. They're not saying that it will happen to me, but all things just to sort of think about.
Still in some pain after 3 weeks?
Still in some pain, yes. But it gets a little bit better, and it gets a little bit better every day. And I feel a little stronger. I can actually get my arm all the way up to, shoulder height, which is big.
What would you say maybe is the most difficult?
Just looking at a full-length mirror. I haven't really gotten to that point. That's very difficult. Do I believe that I'm here? No. Do I believe that this has happened to me? No. And looking at a calendar, it's been less than a month since they even told me that I had breast cancer. And a whole lot's happened, and a whole lot of things have changed.
Okay. Dr. Akerley is ready to meet with Wendy. We follow her into a conference room to discuss treatment.
Have a seat. We feel that systemic chemo and hormonal therapy are necessary as a preventative measure.
Dr. Akerley suggests that Wendy go through 4 cycles of chemotherapy and 3 cycles of a hormonal drug known as Taxol.
I just want to make sure that I'm doing everything that can possibly be done to get this stuff out of my body and to keep it out.
in fact, by going on the study, you're actually potentially doing a little bit more than we would otherwise do.
Wendy decides to have the Taxol along with the regular cycles of chemotherapy.
Thanks again.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
We went with Wendy to her first chemotherapy treatment. None of us were prepared for what was to come.
Make me a fist. Very lumpy and very stubborn veins.
Just tell me when not to look.
I will. You with me?
Yep.
Wendy has very stubborn veins, and the first attempt at hooking up an IV fails.
Yep.
It's very painful for Wendy and all of us to watch.
I'm gonna get a couple more catheters and just rest. Do you want me to get you a drink while I'm out there?
If you, that would be
Cranberry
great.
juice? Soda?
I have no veins. And if I'm going to be doing blood work and all of this stuff as
Okay,
often
make a
as I
fist.
am, to have a, what is it?
It's called a portacath. It goes right in the chest, and the needle goes in, and it's a one-shot deal.
And that way she won't have to go through this every time.
Exactly.
Oh boy, that sounded mighty good right about now.
None of us will have to go through this.
Even my feet are sweating.
All right, I'm gonna do this one more time, and then I'm gonna
Okay.
take a break. Are you ready?
Yep.
One more. You okay?
Mm-hmm.
It's in. Open your hand. Phew. I can stop sweating.
Tell me when I can.
You can.
Okay.
Right now.
Wendy will endure 3 more treatments, plus blood work and home injections. Right after the first treatment, Wendy felt some nausea, but her spirits were good. Then 2 weeks to the day after that first chemo treatment, Wendy's hair started to fall out. We talked about it at her home. For Wendy, this was almost worse than losing her breast.
I usually normally just come in here and try and pull myself together. Yesterday was horrible. It was just, and I'm really even just trying to do, I'm not even brushing my hair like I ever brushed my hair before. It's just completely different. I mean, look at what I'm doing. I mean, it's gross. It's just, I mean, and I'm barely, it's unbelievable.
Not everyone loses their hair during chemotherapy. Wendy prayed she would be one of the lucky ones.
I knew that this was going to be like the hardest part. I thought that just dealing with having my breast gone has been very difficult. And I've had a hard time with that, and I still can't believe it. But I also knew that when my hair started falling out, I was going to have a really hard time with that.
If it does indeed all come out, I mean,
well, that's how
you know it's temporary.
That's right. You know, you have to keep telling yourself it will grow back, it will grow back, and it will grow back. And but it just doesn't make it any easier to look in the mirror now. And in the meantime, I'll just wonder or know how Tully Savalas feels.
Wendy's hair loss startled her so much, she decided it was time to order a wig.
And it doesn't look like Barbie hair anymore. They look real, they look normal and all of that stuff. And well, I can't picture myself, you know, it's not like a Dolly Parton wig.
And get her hair cut. We met Wendy at the salon later that day, a day filled with emotion.
They were just like, just try and go as short as you think you can go today. Because they said it will be less traumatic and less will fall out. And I mean, I know. It's just going to be traumatic no matter what anyway.
It's not going to make you unattractive. You know, you look beautiful. You look beautiful with short hair. You just never had short hair. That's okay. You know, you have to just do it. Okay?
Oh, God, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
Don't be sorry, my God. It's an awful thing to go through.
Yes, it is.
Wendy decides to go shorter.
Up until now, it's just not horrible. It hasn't been horrible, so. But I knew that this was going to be the part that was going to be the hardest for me, too. This is good for today. It looks good.
Wendy's here now. Wendy, looking back, what a painful day it was for you.
That was one of the hardest days that I've had to go through with all of this. But I look at it as another one of the hurdles that I've had to go across from then until now. I still am covering those.
Is this still hard now?
It's hard to look back because that was just such a difficult time for me. That was probably one of the hardest things, but I keep telling myself, Shelley, that I'm becoming a stronger person with each and every one of these hurdles that I continue to jump over.
You sure are. And I know you got a wig, who you refer to as Dolly often.
Yes, I do. She, listen to me, she is definitely something that I got as a backup, and I wasn't quite sure how I would be feeling about wearing it. It's good to have. It's sort of a little bit of an insurance policy with the holidays coming up and the wedding that just came and went, but it's all something that, that I think I'm just dealing with every single day and going with the flow with that.
How are you coping now?
I think I'm doing okay. I know I'm going to be okay. And with all the different things that I've gone through, it's just, I just look towards the days that I am back to my regular self and doing my normal routine. And while it seems like it's a ways away, I know that I can beat this and everything's going to be okay down the line.
And what gives you the strength to go on?
There's been a whole lot of support that has been absolutely incredible. The cards, the letters, and for every single person that has spent 5 minutes to sit down and just say, hey, we're thinking of you and we're pulling for you. Every single one of those people really made a difference, and that has really made a change in my attitude and everything else.
And as you know, the outpour here has been amazing.
It's been incredible all the way around, and I really hope that I did make a difference.
Wendy, you did make a difference, and I just want to thank you for being so courageous and for teaching me the importance of early detection. I'm so proud of you.
We did it together. Thanks, Shell.
We did, Wendy. Thank you. Wendy's doctor is with us when we come back.
Wendy, we've all been following your story with sadness at what you're going through, and quite honestly, in awe of your courage. Maybe it offers you some comfort knowing that you personally are connecting with people in a way 1,000 commercials and brochures never could. Right now, somebody's mother, daughter, sister, or wife is finding breast cancer earlier because of you. And the earlier you find breast cancer, the better your chance of beating it. That means doing breast self-exams regularly. Now, these cards are available to you to keep in your shower. Not only do they show you how to do a self-breast exam, they're a constant reminder to do it every month. You can get a breast self-exam shower card by calling the American Cancer Society at 1-800-ACS-2345. Wendy is telling her story so you won't have to live it. Make her goal come true.
I keep wondering, there must be some sort of reason why this had to happen to me. And maybe this is part of it, to make a difference in somebody else's life, to just inspire them or make sure that they get on and get checked and be aware of the things that can happen.
You have seen breast cancer like you never have before through Wendy's story. Joining us right now is Dr. Marshawn, Wendy's doctor. Dr. Marshawn, what's ahead for Wendy?
Well, let me begin by saying I've been here and watched this program unfold, really for the first time. And I must say I'm impressed with you, Wendy, how you've handled this and how you have put this together. Now, as far as what's ahead, I like to look at this in phases. You led into this by saying a discovery phase. Well, there's the phase I found a lump, or my mammogram is negative or positive. Then there's the phase of getting a diagnosis, and you've been through that. And then we go through the treatment, in your case the surgery, and followed by the chemotherapy. Then comes what I think is a very challenging phase. What's next? Because now your support system, in a way, has dropped away. You do not have to go every week. You're now a little freer than you are. Things are beginning to be better. And so you have to work very hard at being your own support system. What's ahead is a little more freedom from us and your reconstruction. And I think this can be a very great help to you.
Absolutely. Dr. Marshawn, what is the chance of reoccurrence?
Well, given the fact that you had some positive nodes, and we can't ignore that, It's going to be for 10 years in the range of 30 or 40%, which if you look at the other side, it's 60, maybe 70% of being well. And those are figures including everybody, not you personally. I have people who had 4 times the number of nodes that you had, that I operated on 25 years ago, and they're well. So remember that. That's overall figures.
And I know, Wendy, you've said it all along. You're positive, and you feel good about that number.
Yeah, I really do. And that's and you can look at the positive side or the negative side, and I'm shooting for that 60%, just like the doctor said.
And you do have plans for reconstruction?
That will be down the line. I've got a couple of doctors to talk to, and that's definitely part of something that's going to be in the works that I plan to do.
Any thoughts?
Well, one thing that they've told me about was that they do reconstruction through the tissue in your stomach, because it is very similar to the breast and that sort of a situation. And so that's certainly an option that is worth exploring.
Absolutely. Yep. Okay. Wendy. Dr. Marshawn, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back.
Wendy, I've always admired your talent and your physical strength handling the weight of your camera in any situation. And now, seeing your story and the frightening weight of the cancer you carried, I'm in awe of your emotional and spiritual strength. Thank you, Wendy, for sharing your most private and painful moments to touch other women, to protect all of us against breast cancer. And the only way to beat this cancer is with early detection and good information.
Channel 12, Cancer Hotline.
Each Friday this month, we staff the Eyewitness News Data Center with experts and cancer survivors from the American Cancer Society. They took hundreds of your calls. Many of you had questions, others well wishes for Wendy. We passed those messages on to Wendy, and now I want to pass along to you this phone number. 1-800-ACS-2345 is for the American Cancer Society. This number will put you in touch with people who have the information you need to know. Being informed is the first step in making Wendy's story the last story we have to tell about breast cancer.
Since we started this half hour, 9 women have been diagnosed with breast cancer. 2 women have died. Wendy's story doesn't have a happy ending yet. She still faces a long battle. She put a face to breast cancer so other women would have the courage to confront it. Her story touched a lot of lives, and I think it may have even saved some. Thank you, Wendy. And thank you for being with us. I'm Shelley Carey. Good night.